welcome. Okay, I always like to announce that we are recording in case you don't want your name or face showing. You can just remove from the screen and continue following the studies, okay? So we are studying the book Alert by Joanna de Angelis, psychograph by the medium Divaldo Franco. And we are already in lesson 39, Love of Life. And as always, I'm going to start reading, and after that, we will be commenting and posing the questions if we have. So let's see, what is the love of life? Love life based on how the existential plans are presented to you. The field enriched by seeds was worked arduously. The well, melodic and blessed, conquered mud and stone in order to clearly flow. Do not suppress the flame of joy before the fuel of love is consumed. Value each daily lesson. It will prepare you for future commitments. Okay, so Joana de Angelis in this first lines, she is proposing to us exactly what this lesson is all about: to love life, to understand the importance that each and every second our lives represent to us. All the lessons, and when she says all the lessons, she says all. And everything that happens to us is actually a way of preparing us for what comes next. But at the same time, she's already saying in those phrases like the field enriched by seeds was worked arduously. The well, melodic and blessed, conquered mud and stone in order to clearly flow. She's already implicating on those statements that difficulties may arise, that hardships, um, hurdles may be presented on the way for us to conquer life. And we have to keep that in mind, not dismissing life and enjoyment of life because for the moment we may be challenged by the daily lessons. So basically, this is how she presents to us the thoughts that she's going to be developing on the next paragraphs. So, so far, do you have any question or comment? I mean, if you can want to expand on the idea of what we are talking about here.
Simply, I think it's about overcoming challenges to improve ourselves.
Absolutely. Anyone else? Okay, so let's read a bit more. Each experience deserves respect. The positive ones should offer substance so they may be repeated, and the painful ones deserve to be examined and their causes to not return. So basically, what she's trying to tell us here is that everything that happens to us at the end of the day will be a good experience in the formation of us as immortal beings. Of course, when we go through positive experiences, because we are learning in our day to day lives from everything that happened, when positive things come our way, we have to think, uh, uh, what did I do that made them possible? And why will we do that? Because we want them to be repeated. Said, well, this formula is good. Like, for instance, when I'm nice and say hello to people, people are nice and say hello back to me. So this is how, in a very simple way, we are trying to explain here what she means with let's pay attention, let's see how they were built in a way that we can repeat that. We want good experiences to come our way. And we have to do the same with the painful ones, because everything that happens to us is a result of our own actions, good or bad. So if something bad is happening to me, I have to examine what is the root, what is the origin of this experience that I'm now living. I may not find the answer in this incarnation, because we know that we are the sum up of lives and experiences. But sometimes I do. Or even if I cannot find exactly the origin, I can see perhaps that the origin maybe was in a different existence, but now somehow I'm still aggravating it in a way that instead of being able to rid myself from those negative experiences, I'm still somehow uh, how do I say? You see, Andrea, your mic is open. I'm still somehow um, doing things that are going to make it more difficult for me to control or to eliminate it completely from my life. Any questions or comments?
Um, what I mean understand about things she's called was uh, which moments you choose to remember in our life, good moments or pain moments.
Mm-hmm.
What I understand about this, because when you choose to remember about the good moments in your life, you can use things, joy moments, to fulfill you to keeping strong, to leave the bad moments in your life. Is this right? What she hints a lot is about.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if I understood the question, Sonia.
Then,
Uh,
because since the beginning, she's mentioned about how important means you keeping in the positive way in
Mhm.
your life. Then what I mean understand here, because in all lives, in each one person, we have up and down in our life.
Mhm.
And what I mean understand, she's called us to keep in mind the good moments in our life as a tool to use these good moments and this good experience in our life
Mhm.
to to support ourselves when the moments it's a down, it's a pain moment. Is this what she tried to tell us?
May I offer my
Yes,
reading of?
please,
Yeah,
I,
please.
please.
I see this as a lesson on how to go through life, see the positive things that happen as an indication that you're on the right path, see the negative things that happen as something needs to change so that you get back on the right path. So it's a lesson.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think, the ups and down as well. I mean, first of all, it shows us, as Sonia is saying, that even when we are on the down phase, it doesn't mean that we are going to keep on being there, and we should not lose track of the good experiences, because this is a tendency that human beings have of quickly forget about good experiences or good things that are happening to them when one bad thing happens. It's like, all of a sudden you got ill, we will think my life is over. Everything is over. Everything is bad. And I'm not looking at, "Oh, okay, I'm ill, but thank God I have a doctor. I can treat myself. It's not such a serious illness." So, I mean, in my example, it's not okay. I have friends, or I have neighbors that can help me, can cook meal to me during this period. I have spiritual support. So we tend not to look at those things when one black cloud comes and prevents us to see the sun. We completely forget that the sun is still there. It's just a very fleeting moment that this cloud is going through there. And I think this is more or less what Sonia is trying to also to tell us. But at the same time, we have to repeat here that what she's emphasizing is, since life is a precious a possibility for us to learn, and considering that we are in control, pay attention, be mindful of what are the actions that you are throwing to the world that are bringing you back a positive response, versus the actions that you are sending to the world that are bringing you negative ones, because we don't want the negative ones, but they are coming to me because of me. It's not because of somebody else. And I have to see how to do that. And addressing more or less the comment that Orlando did here, Joanna de Angelis, for many incarnations already, she has been focusing on this psychological aspect of the spirits, and to the point that now, even with a group of spirits that have been having also experience on our earth in terms of dealing with, let's say, the secrets of the mind of the spirit, she is writing constantly about the subject. And there are a series of books, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's 16 books that even represents the transpersonal therapy, and that in the future we believe is going to be even each time more utilized by the medical field in the areas of psychology. Uh, it has been happening already. The Spiritist Medical Association, because they are open, of course, to the Spiritist ideas, they have been utilizing her books as books that they will bring to universities and to their patients and all that, and deep studies, because they already accept the idea of spirituality. For the average therapist, this is still not a reality, but as soon as it becomes a reality, her literature will, without a doubt, be one that they will take into consideration when devoting themselves to those studies. So,
And if I'm not mistaken, I think the whole on YouTube, you can actually watch entire it's like the training with all the books and everything. I think there is a special like classes for you to follow. I
yes,
think it's on YouTube already.
yes, yes, from the, unfortunately only in Portuguese, but yes, that has been an initiative of the Brazilian Spiritist Medical Association. They have been doing that in Portuguese so far, with the participation of several therapists and even psychiatrists, uh, to expand on this, knowledge of the human soul, that reflects of our minds and who we are. And I mean, and even like, for instance, this book is not one that is part of the collection, but all the time she's always bringing to our attention our behavior, how we position ourselves in life, and mentally speaking, because here is a mental decision, like whether I'm going to be following that question 919 of the Spirit's book, 19a, that St. Augustine comes and makes it a point, us analyzing what we are doing and analyzing our reactions. I know it can be painful. Of course, we don't want it to see our, bad side, but there is only one way for us to work on it, is by accepting that they are there, and the flaws, and from that point on, we will be able to deal better with life, and to grow in this sense, and to make changes. Use therapy on a reincarnated spirit that would prepare them living in a physical body all the time. The process of reincarnation is a process that is very well managed. We can see both in the book Nosso Lar, in the movie Nosso Lar, that is with subtitles in English. We can watch this movie as well, and the book that is in English as well. um, when they talk about, and especially in the missionaries of the light, when they talk about the department of reincarnation of only this one spiritual colony, and to the details they will go in order to bring the spirits closer to balance as much as possible. And but then again, we may be prepared to do things in life but we may not do it. It's very much like, I can go learn from my parents, I can go to the university, I learned the good ways, but if I'm still stubborn and wanted to do it my own way, we cannot blame our parents or we cannot blame our educators, but only ourselves. So in this case, especially, not remembering everything that we have planned for ourselves, it makes things much more complicated. And that's why sometimes we don't see the results, or many times we don't see the results of the potentiality that we do have and that we could be going through that. So she continues by saying, consider pain as a blessing of beneficial effect for your spiritual progress. It is the austere bailiff who induces you to an edifying realization. In this way, sometimes it's hard for us to think about the need for pain. Um, but many times it's the only thing we have not to mess up even more our lives. There are people that if it were not because they are having a liver disease, they would drink and drink and drink and drink and drink and cause many more problems to them. So now, because they have a physical illness, they have no other choice. The doctor will come and say, listen, unless you change, you're not going to last many more months. So in this case, uh, pain is a blessing because the person was not capable of controlling things by oneself. So in the present stage of evolvement that we are, considering that with our free will, we are still making very wrong choices. And as a result, we will have negative responses from life that bring us pain. We should see that as being, the reminder that there is something that we need to change in ourselves. But even so, she says, even when you are going through pain, because sometimes people go through pain and say, I throw the towel, I will not, I cannot do that anymore. She says, insist in doing good, even when all seems somber and hopeless, in odious considerations against your aspirations to rise. It's like something is dragging us, preventing us to move forward. Without the care of his message, here she's referring to Jesus, life will be an impossible burden to carry forward. So here, from the beginning, she said, that is the name of the message, love of life, showing us how life is precious, but perfectly understanding that because of our actions, the responses that we receive in life are not necessarily just good responses. That's why she invites us to meditate about it. So, with knowledge, we are capable of changing, the way we are doing things because they are not bringing good results to us. But at the same time, considering the level of involvement that we are and what we are throwing in the world, is only natural that that negative things, that suffering, pain is going to come about because we are still inferior spirit. And many times not, or refusing to accept that we are the ones responsible for everything that happens to us, we want to keep on blaming others, blaming from A to Z, except ourselves. You jump your initial, right? And we think that by doing that, we are entitled or should be entitled just to give up and say, what is the point? What is the point is that we are not looking clearly, we are not analyzing clearly, we are not accepting that we are the ones that doing that. So she says there is only one way: insist on doing good. It's like, someone sits on the for the first time on to start playing the piano and say, this is not going this is never going to happen. I will never be able to play the piano. I mean, the first few times the piano, or even going to the kitchen, baking something, or playing the guitar, whatever. First time you do that, going to the gym, you start uh, pulling the dumbbells. I mean, you're always going to say, I cannot do that. Going for jogging for the first time, you will go half a block and say, no, this is not for me. I will never be able to do that. But we know, because of reason, that everything that we are start to doing, it takes time for us to master that. So, considering that we are still inferior spirits with more tendency to do bad than good, there is only one way for us to change this paradigm, which is insisting, continue with the piano lessons, with the exercises, etc., until I'll be able to, to play in a concert. And this is what she's doing, that you have to insist even when you feel in despair, even when everything seems to be against you. But there is one good thing about all that: you don't have to go through that blindly. There was someone, and other someones, that came and helped you with their lessons, with their examples, with their guidance, telling you, listen, this part of the road is difficult, but just a bit ahead, if you continue, it's going to be much easier, much smoother. Just keep on going. You are on the right track.
Usada,
Yes?
I would like to ask Marilyn, in the name of suffering humanity, don't you have something to say on their behalf? Or because you're a spiritist, you accept everything that falls upon us humans?
Well, I'm only a practicing spiritist, a beginner. Um, but I like these lessons because if you keep on doing good, even when things are bad, it's going to make you feel better. And as Josiah said, you're going to reach a smoother part of the road a little later on. And also, I wanted to say that it's easy to think about our pleasant experiences, give ourselves a pat on the back for what we think we've done really good. But the real lessons come about the painful ones. And I always never wanted to look at the painful ones because they hurt. But I began to realize that when you look at them, that's where the greater benefit really is learning how to overcome the parts about yourself that you don't really care about or that you don't particularly like. I hope I answered your question.
Not quite, but I thank you for sharing your opinion. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else would like to say something? Okay, so let's go to the next. You notice that there are days when everything seems to afflict you more. Do not retreat from superior purpose when this happens. No one is able to advance in the education process of evolution in a regiment of unjust exception. So she continues explaining that life in this planet that is in transition is still a planet of trial and atonement, going to a planet of regeneration. Okay. We will have those things happening to us, the difficult situations happening to us. But again, she emphasizes, do not retreat. It's no longer time for us to do that. We did that in the past a lot, and that is why we see so much suffering around. It's not because God doesn't love us, it's not because God is unjust. Actually, she's saying here exactly the opposite. We would like God to just, break the rules of the universe and bend to our ways and say, that's okay. You made a mistake, but that's fine. You killed your neighbor, but I understand. He was in the way, you know. Right? I mean, no, there is no. I mean, I cannot plant bananas and get apples. Okay, this is the law of the universe, and God is not going to amend the laws because of us. So it is an education process. And the more I mean, we are entitled, of course, to not be happy with that. But then the thing is, they come to us and say, okay, you may not be happy with that, but it is in your hands to change. The rules of the game, the rules of the universe, the law of God doesn't change, but you can. And then what are we going to do? That's why she keeps on insisting, because she knows that because we are going to be affected personally with things that may happen to us on an individual level or collective level, that we may feel like things are never going to change or is not going to get better. And they are not never, but they can be very much delayed if we don't do something about it. And what is the something I can do about it? Each one of us take responsibility and start doing things differently. And this
Isara,
is one thing that we have to always keep in mind. Yes?
as humans, with our suffering and our trials, we cry out to God for some compassion and mercy.
Obviously, Orlando. Uh, but you see, this is many times our behaviors, I mean, can be compared to the behaviors of children. They go and do something that they shouldn't do, and then they cry, oh, please don't put me in timeout. I swear I'm never going to do it again. I swear, I swear, I swear, you know. And as soon as we release them, they go and do it again. And they go and do it again. And they go and do it again. And then there is a point where a good educator, parents or not, will come to them and say, I gave you enough chances. It's not just a second chance, enough changes, enough chances for you to uh, behave differently. Now you have to go into timeout. It's going to be painful, but you have the chance to learn through education, through love, or you have the chance to learn through pain. And unfortunately, so far, we have been choosing pain. Even in this pandemic, how many people are not taking into consideration the advices of science? Okay, you don't want to take the vaccine. It's your problem. Don't take it. It's your choice. But at least put your mask on, respect distance, okay? And people are not doing that. Not even the minimum things, requirements, stay home. When I mean now we are going to be able to live more, but and then they catch the disease, they die, their family one dies, and who are they going to blame? God. How come God and people are not having compassion? So much suffering. You know, I'm seeing so many people catching this illness in other countries also that I know. And sometimes truly I want to tell them, you know what? You were completely reckless. And you think it was not going to come to you and affect your family? Sometimes, we see people that are not reckless, and I mean they are obliged to go to their work and job because of job, etc. But many people are catching this illness because they're being reckless. And then is God isn't to want to blame? Or in this case, coming back to our lessons, we are going to say, what's the point? There is no God, there is no spirituality, the spirits do not have compassion for me, and I'll just give up being good. Were you really being good? So she continues saying, when pain summons you, it is a call to meditate. Again, I don't suffer the pain because Sonia did something bad. It doesn't come to me. It will come to her address, home and address, not mine. I may even feel sorry for her and suffer a little bit with her as well. But the one that will have to deal with that, struggle with that, is going to be her. So that's why she's saying here, pain doesn't come to us without a reason. Now, I don't like pain. I have to think, what am I doing that is bringing me pain? And how can I change that? Again, some things, unfortunately, are not going to be solved overnight. Okay? There is a time for them to solve, but it's the process of recovery. So when pain stalls itself in the heart or mind, it is a contribution for your growth and rescue. Under any circumstance, love life and learn the technique to be happy. Even when faced with a catastrophe, still there will be motive for us to be happy with the experience of life and to understand how precious it is for us. And all the other things, like we said, maybe in one area of our life we are struggling a lot, but let's value the rest. Let's value the possibilities that we have. Like for instance, now, okay, we are making a lemonade with all the lemons that were given to us, right? We were home, we could be home alone with no electricity, no internet. And this pandemic is happening in the best way possible, that we all have a device electricity, internet, that we can connect and not feel that much alone. And, you know, go through that together, looking for things that can, make the days go by, or be present in the life of others, in learning new things. A lot of good things has been happening as well. It could have been much worse. Can you imagine not having all that? Right? Any comment or question? Okay, so let's go to real misfortune is the ignorance of the superior objectives of existence. Without the luminous flame of love as blessing and the imperious necessity to follow, dragged by painful circumstances. So that's beautiful the way she says here that misfortune is us ignoring the superior objectives of existence. That even when we are facing the challenges, the sufferings of life, somehow is like, the chisel, they are bringing about the beautiful sculpture that the spirit represents and that was hidden behind the stone. So bend toward the necessity to compensate debts. Let's not refuse to assume our responsibilities when life charges us with an educational purpose, because it's not to make us pay, because it is an inclement, uh, father. No, it is always with a purpose of educating us not to continue repeating behaviors that are only going to aggravate our situations even more. Inflame yourself with joy for the grace of suffering. It will allow you to become free and die to resurrect from the carnal debris into a body of light. So each time, because if it is inevitable and we have to go through suffering and those challenges, I our reaction should be, okay, if I have to swim in the river, in this river, let's get over with. Okay, let's do it and get over with. Just let us accept that this is a passing moment and that very soon we are going to cross to the other side. And I mean, here crossing to the side of the river, I'm not talking necessarily about death, okay? And even when she talks about here the dying process, she's not just saying about the dying process of, the dying and decay of our physical body, but the dying of our old self. It's much more deeper than just thinking, you know, about the dying of the physical body. It's more, it's dying of attitudes, of, uh, you know, the negative traits, and it's the rising or the coming of something that represents joy, life, light, perennial in our lives, in our existence. So, considering all that, that's why she says the love of life, because at this moment, we should understand that even if it is challenging, it is the only way we have to move forward. And so I'll say, thank you very much, God, for giving me the opportunity to be in this incarnation. We hear that there are many spirits waiting for the chance to come back, and it's not so easy to find the right circumstances for them to return. It may take a long time. So now we are here. Now we are having this opportunity to meditate about all that. Now we have more information and understanding about the purpose of life, and also understand that life, in fact, is eternal. This is just like, we move it to a different country, and we are living the experience of this country. Very soon we will move to a different country and a different country and learn different experiences, always with the purpose of growing and becoming this body of light. Okay, any comment, any questions?
As you said, when she said about join, join about your suffering,
Mhm,
something like this, the sentence.
mhm,
Then she's mentioned joy and thanks for this opportunity the life is giving to you to make different choice in our life, right? And it is very nice then to always about this, because many times when we are living the suffering moments or the pain moments, we we don't keep in our mind this is our opportunity to make different choices in our life. Then this,
mhm.
in fact, I believe is very intense interest she always about this.
Yeah. What amazes me is that, thinking about all the lessons, this is lesson 39 already. Uh, Still, she could have been much harder on us, on the way that she's presenting the realities of our behavior and the consequences of our behaviors, because we see in every lesson she very sometimes in a very subtle way, in a very respectful way. I mean, I myself, in my comments, I say, what is your fault? Joanna de Angelis, in her grandeur of a noble spirit, she goes around leading us to come to this conclusion ourselves, without her being the one saying to us, why are you complaining? Or why don't you change? Haven't you realized it yet? That is all in your hands. So I think it's very beautiful the way she continues pointing out, um, with so much respect for the present condition that we have as humanity, as spirits, and respecting us in understanding that we can only advance this much so far because of where we are. But she's always, giving us this pat in the back saying, go, you can do more. She's cheering for us. You can do more. Do not stay there. Do not linger in the negativity aspects of life. Just go. You are on the right track. And so I think it's so beautiful, And that's why, you know, when we get those books, we come to the realization that just reading them is not enough. We miss all the, you know, the pearls that they, you know, each and every phrase brings to us when we do not do a more profound study like the one we are doing. And then it's very good that we are doing that. Okay. Sorry, you're talking. No, you're in mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Uh, it's so beautiful to hear what you have said, uh, to simplify uh, her words, you know, and I just wanted to congratulate you.
Ah, thank you. Yeah, but that's true, you know. She deserves all the merit. Okay, Philip, can you do the closing prayer for us, please?
Yes, please. All members of the Spiritist group, and we honor God and the guiding spirits for their guidance. We come continually with the same issues, and we don't seem to want to accept what we've been taught. If you're familiar with the music of this country, you are aware of songs like songs that ask us to be aware of what we do. Unfortunately, I don't remember the name of the song all of a sudden, but they ask us to consider our actions and to do the right thing, which is improve. When will you ever learn is the name of the song. It asks us to consider each step we take during the day. We have been guided to do things in a correct manner, and each time we don't, we're told what is right and what is wrong. Let us honor Jesus, God, and the guiding spirits by taking their advice and moving forward instead of complaining, to actually do what they suggest, because we know the right steps to take. We will learn when we've had enough. Let us move forward, not only doing the right thing, but help others to do the right thing also. So be it.